So how was audio feed? I
Oh,
saw
dude,
some of the videos. So
yeah, it was so much fun. Yeah, we haven't done, we audio feed is like a spiritual successor to what to a festival called Cornerstone that used to be back in the day.
I've heard of
And
Cornerstone.
yeah, and we played Cornerstone a couple times. And then Cornerstone ended, and basically a bunch of people who loved Cornerstone and didn't want it to go away entirely started
Yeah.
Audio Feed. So
Oh,
we
nice.
played Cornerstone back in like the mid to late 2000s. And then but we'd never been to Audio Feed, and so this was our first time to do that. I mean, we this was our first time, doing anything non-local since we kind of revived,
Yeah.
as a band. So yeah, no, it was fun, and we got to, the stage that we were playing was booked. It was Small Step Records, which is the label
Yeah.
that we're with. They had like a slot of six, that they got to put
Oh,
whichever bands
nice.
they wanted to on there. So it was our my first chance getting to meet a lot of our label mates for the first time in person. Like we are in group
Yeah.
chats together and we listen to each other's music and stuff. But this was the first time getting to meet several of our label mates in person. So that was fun. The festival was fun. Set was good. Yeah, man, it was a good time. I don't
That's awesome.
know. I don't know if it's something we'll do every year, at least not the same way. This year, we kind of I brought my whole family, my wife and kids came. It was my
Nice.
kids' first time seeing me play music. Like they've
Dang.
listened to the music. They like to
Yeah.
listen to it. Like they'll ask to put it on streaming or whatever. But because we play a lot of like divey bars and also because we play like really late at night, sometimes like they have
It's hard to
never
get
been
the
able to
kids
actually
out. Yeah.
yeah, they've never been able to come see me play before. So this was the first time that the kids have got to, see dad on stage playing. So I told, I from the stage, I was like, hey, I'm really glad that everybody is here in this tent, but even if it was just these two little people, like this would be special, right? So um
So what they think?
so, so my 3-year-old threw a tantrum in the middle of it, and my wife had to take him out of the tent. He had fallen asleep like an hour before we were supposed to
Yeah.
start playing, and he doesn't do well with like being woken up. Like if he
Who
if he,
does?
if he naps and like can get the whole natural lifespan of the nap, he wakes up
Yeah.
happy. But if he's woken up in the middle of it, he's not. And
It's
so
going straight
he
to hell.
yeah, so he got woken up in the middle of his nap in the middle of a hot field with like gnats and bugs, and we're like trying to get sunscreen on him and bug spray on him, and he just
Yep.
wasn't having it. So he
He was
noped
not
out.
overly impressed.
Yeah, halfway through, my wife kind of walked him out of the tent and had to listen. But my daughter, his sister, who's 5, she stayed even after she walks away with him. She stayed and watched the rest, and
Yeah.
it was cool because she has our songs of ours that she knows and she asked for, and so when we played one she knew, like I saw her like eyes light up, or and it was really cute. It was a cute
That's a
thing.
really awesome experience.
Yeah, man. That was really fun.
And welcome back to First, Last, and Best. We are here for another episode, another time of just chit-chatting and BS about music, which is oh so much fun, or at least I enjoy it. We've got another great episode lined up. Obviously, another guest who's coming back and talking about one of their all-time favorite bands. But first, let's talk about our social media presence. We are over on Facebook, facebook.com/, First, Last, and Best podcast. Same thing with Instagram. Same thing with TikTok. We are making a push to be more available on social media. We are also on YouTube now. You can stream all of our past episodes. Everything, our first 4 episodes are now available on YouTube. Wonder Years, Alkaline Trio, The Offspring, and Andrew McMahon's Wilderness just came out this past Friday. Uh, and hopefully I can get the Rancid episode and this episode up in the next couple weeks. But considering my wife just had surgery this past week, it may not happen for a little bit. You're just gonna have to forgive me and give me a little bit of patience. Uh, let's get on with the show and bring back one of my favorite special guests. You just played audio feed in Illinois. He's back, Sam, bassist and vocalist from Sam's the Hero. It is Jeff Riggs. What up, Jeff? How you been, buddy?
I am good. I'm good. I'm tired, and I'm happy to be catching up with you. We just did a really long pre episode chat because we just enjoy talking to each other.
I think
So
that was a good 20, 30 minutes of just I'm gonna have to go through the editing process and be like, I'm listening to this and be like, I know I there's just I whatever, it's fine.
I know you usually like pull a clip, but there's gonna be a lot for you to choose
There's going
from
to be a
now.
lot to choose from this week, so I may have to do several clips, or actually to turn into more reels that I can post and
Mm.
TikTok exclusives and whatnots. Um,
BTS.
yes, behind the scenes of First, Last, and Best. All right, buddy, what have you been listening to? I know you guys had audio feed this last week, or it'll be 2 weeks ago at this point,
Yeah.
week and a half maybe. Um, so obviously you guys are jamming your stuff, but what else have you been listening to lately?
Yeah, so I've been listening to a lot of the band that we're going to be talking about today, which we'll get to because
Yeah.
it was hard to make some of the decisions that we're going to be
Oh,
talking
I'm
about.
sure.
But outside of that, I actually have been listening to so Streetlight Manifesto announced a new album in June,
Yes.
and in true Streetlight Manifesto fashion, it did not come out in June.
No, it did
And
not.
and Thomas was like, "Hey, it's me. I'm
Delayed.
not. It's all me. I'm not satisfied with sonically where it is right now. We need a few more weeks." But as like an olive branch, they released 3 tracks from that album onto
Yeah, I
their
saw that.
YouTube. And so I don't generally use YouTube to listen to music. I don't have like a YouTube subscription or anything,
Yeah,
but I've just been going there with my phone and then like tapping to keep the screen
nice.
from going to sleep just so I can listen to these 3 tracks.
I
There, I
just
was
gotta listen to it. Oh my God,
yeah, I
dude.
mean, it's been so
I
long and they have not disappointed. So it makes me really excited about the album
They never do.
whenever we get it. So
Whenever it shows up, hopefully for in time for Supernova.
that would be
And with
cool.
that being said, I just want to make a quick announcement on some upcoming episodes. Starting first week of August, we are going full ska. It is the summer of ska. We will be going from the beginning of August all the way through mid-September, possibly after, due to the road to Supernova in Hampton. The International Supernova International Ska Festival is happening in Hampton, Virginia. There's so many great bands: Less Than Jake, Hub City Stompers, Toasters, Pie Tasters, Catch 22 is going to be there. Like it's 3 days of straight amazing music and easily one of the best festival environments I've ever been to in my entire life. So we are going to be celebrating the run up to Supernova with a full on summer of ska. I know Jeff and I are going to be talking about some Five Iron Frenzy. We got an
Hell
episode
yeah.
with the Aquabats. We're going to go Less Than Jake. We're going to go the Toasters. There's a lot of stuff we want to talk about in the lead up to Supernova and possibly after, and maybe do a full recap episode after Supernova. Who knows? Um, but I just want to at least get that out there that we are going to be doing a summer of ska, and I am so excited for that. I can't wait for Supernova, dude. It's going to be such a good time.
Yeah,
So.
same. That was a really good segue. You're like a pro at this. That's great.
I've been doing this long enough to where I can segue and do intros fairly well. It's just like the actual crap of doing, podcasting that I'm not very good at. So, anyways, let's get on with today's episode. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, if you can't pinpoint who we're talking about, all you have to do is look at Jeff's hat. This week is all about MxPx.
My once black hat.
Once
It's
black hat, which is
not
now
no longer
stained
black.
brown. When did you discover MXPX? What was like that for you?
Yeah, so MXPX has will forever hold a really special place in my heart because in 7th grade, another dude named Jeff, who would go on to be my best friend for a few years, he introduced me to like MXPX was one half of my introduction into punk rock.
Yeah.
Like before that, I was listening to, if anyone listening to this is local, like I listened to 96X. And so, like alternative, I think like the first couple albums that I bought were like the Presidents of the United States of America and like I think I had a Queen greatest hits and like
Nice.
so like it was alternative but still like very mainstream what's playing
Yeah.
on the radio. And then one of the first times he invited me over to his house, he was like, "Hey, I want you to listen to this." And he put on two bands for me, one right after the other. He put on MxPx and he put on Bad Religion. And that
Oh,
was like my dual introduction into punk rock and
nice.
like really just shaped my musical like tastes and proclivities for the rest of my life. Like through MxPx, I got into Tooth and Nail, their record label, and so
Yeah.
like kind of got into that kind of like faith infused punk rock, pop punk stuff. And then through Bad Religion, got connected to Epitaph, and so that introduced me to Pennywise and all these other really amazing like punk rock bands. And because like back in the day, man, like when I was in middle school there was like we didn't have streaming, the internet was not ubiquitous, so like
No.
the only way that
Napster
you
was like the
found
only
like
thing, and
new bands were like samplers. Like if you found samplers, like that was
yep,
a good way to find new bands, which both Tooth and Nail and Epitaph put out samplers pretty
yep,
regularly. And then another thing was like I would go to like a band, if I bought an album and I liked the band, I'd go to their liner notes because they would frequently like thank other bands that they toured with and
that's
stuff like
true.
that. And so those were like my two big ways of finding bands. So yeah, like through MXPX and Bad Religion, like were like my dual introductions to punk rock. And so I was in, that would have been seventh grade in middle school. And it was Life in General was the album. It was Life in General for MXPX, and it was Recipe for Hate, Bad Religion. Those were
Ooh,
the two that and I can even tell you the songs, man. Like that's how formative it was. Like it was Middle
nice.
Name,
Yep,
by because obviously the opening track, and then he showed me American Jesus off Recipe for Hate. Those were like the two tracks that he
nice.
wanted to like introduce me to this stuff. And yeah, change I mean at the
I'm
very
sure.
least my musical taste, but I mean as now playing in punk rock bands and stuff, like it definitely
Yeah.
changed. Like it was a life-changing introduction.
I remember first I was still riding the bus to school. I think it was my freshman or sophomore year of high school. I don't remember exactly when. But there was this kid that I would talk to who was like a year or two younger than me. But he was really big into like punk rock music. So and at that point I was into like Metallica and stuff.
Hmm.
Like first album I ever bought with my own money was Black Album on
Yeah,
CD.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but he introduced me to MXPX. And it was either Life in General or Teenage Politics. I don't remember which one. But I remember the more I got into like punk rock and pop punk and things like that, I started like really falling in. And it was when The Ever Passing Moment came out
Hmm.
that really kind of like this band is something special.
Yeah.
And oh my God, dude. And first time I saw them live, they opened for it was no, they were the semi-main because it was brand new when they first started going.
Mm.
Before Jesse Lacey lost his fucking mind. And it was brand new MXPX and Dashboard Confessional.
Yeah, yeah.
And Dashboard, well, I'll be talking about them with Foster eventually. But dude, that was such a great show. And that was the first
Was
time I'd seen punk rock show live.
was that at the Norva or where did you
That was
catch
at the
him?
Norva.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
guitarist, Neil was there. I was not at that show,
Oh,
but
was he
Neil,
really?
yeah, but Neil was at that show. Yeah.
Nice. You know, now that you mention it, I remember meeting someone in the pit who now reminds me very much of how Neil looks,
Could have
except
been, man.
many, many years younger.
Yeah,
So,
he was a thin little rail back then. But yeah, could have
way
been, man.
back
You
when.
never
Could
know.
have been. You never know. It's a
Hmm.
crazy time. So, springboarding off of that, let's talk about their first record. And the best way I could pronounce it is Poking at You.
Yep.
Is that's how you pronounce it? At least I think so.
Yep. Poking at you. Hmm.
So, I feel like this is kind of very much a maybe not by the numbers, but very like straight punk, like just everything's kind of fast, everything's kind of going, everything, but also everything also kind of feels the same.
Yeah.
Because like when you first listen to like when I first listened to it way back when, I mean, this was exactly what I was looking for. This is
Mm.
exactly what I wanted. Like now that I'm a bit older and wiser and, hurting every other day, um, I feel like the more I listen to it, the more maybe I'm just like enjoying their later stuff more, like a little bit more than their stuff when they were like in their teenage years and mid
Hmm.
90s. Uh, but I feel like, especially because I re-listened to it today, um, and it just feels very kind of by the numbers, fast, like guitar riffs, and it's song, done.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah, it's a long album too. It's got like 20 something songs on there.
something like that.
When you're a punk rock band and your songs are like 245 to 315, like you can afford to put 20
You can,
songs
yeah,
on an album. Yeah, I do like this album, and I definitely, to your point, I definitely liked it a lot more when I was 17
yeah,
than I do now at 40. Part of that is just the production. I've become a bit of a production snob. There's a lot of albums that I consider good
yeah,
albums that I just don't particularly enjoy listening to because I don't enjoy the production quality. And this is definitely
yeah.
one that they improved as they went along. And and yeah, this was great because when I first got into, so like I said, MXPX and Bad Religion were my first forays. And I remember especially at that time and in high school having like a an angsty like predisposition against any kind of pop punk. Like it would be years before I would admit like Blink 182 was good. Like when
Yeah.
Blink 182 was on TRL, I was the biggest hater. Like I mean, it was like no, punk rock, skate punk, like this is. And
Yeah.
so yeah, Poking at You is just really fast punk rock. Like basically here's the song and here's the structure. Now, how fast can we get away with playing it? And that's how you set the tempo. What's the tempo for
Yeah.
this song? Well, how fast can we play it? That's the tempo. And so there's some good songs that like I said, like One Ad's a great song. I like the Jars of Clay is a great song. Like, there's definitely still
I like
some.
Bad Hair Day.
Yeah,
Bad
yeah,
Hair Day is a
yeah,
really good song.
yeah. There are some good ones on there.
Oh
But
yeah.
it's definitely like if I were to rank, like I know we're just doing, first, last, best, but if we were to like rank MXPX albums, I do think this one would be at the bottom for me.
Yeah.
But it's still fun, and they were like what? They were probably 15 or 16
They were
when they were writing these songs because they got started super young.
no joke, dude. I
Um,
was listening to an interview with Mike Herrera, and Mike Herrera is such a great guy.
mm,
So awesome. I love listening to him do like podcasts and stuff. But they were like 16, 17 years old when they signed their
yeah,
first record deal. And it's like they didn't know shit from shit.
yeah.
But at the same time, like this is what they wanted to do.
Hmm.
And like they needed their parents' permission to go like freaking do tours. It's just it's incredible what they went through and what they like aspired and came to. And like obviously this is a lot of like especially people like us, their first forays into actually making music, especially when you're in your high school years, your much, much younger years, you want to play fast, you want to play hard, you want to be in your face.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this is. But then seeing the growth from this into then like teenage politics and life in general and slowly going the way of the buffalo. I mean, it's amazing just how far they've progressed in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, for sure. Like MXPX, I'm sure they'll keep coming back and touching this, but I think that they have been um the most formative band for me in terms of shaping not just like what music I listen to, but also like what my band is like now.
Yeah.
Like I play a Music Man style bass because Mike plays Music Man, right? Like I
Yep.
play out of an Ampeg cab because Mike plays out of an Ampeg cab, right? Like there's like and in our early years as a band, we had what we called mandatory MXPX, and it was that at every show we would cover an MXPX song. And so
Nice.
we had a catalog of like maybe anywhere from 9 to 12 MXPX songs that we could pull out of our back pocket at any time because we had mandatory MXPX.
Nice.
We were a three piece for the longest time because MXPX was a three piece, right?
Yeah.
So like they shaped so much. Like we have our little band mascots, a little, little dude named Oscar, and we put his face on everything. That's
Yeah.
because the Poconacha logo, MxPx did that, right? I've got Oscar on my pick guard of my Music Man style bass because Mike put the Poconacha face on the pick guard of
Yeah.
his music, right? So like they have been so formative uh in like my own band and how we become like people used to endearingly call us Blink XPX because they were like if you just took Blink and MXPX and like shoved them into the same band, that's
Yeah.
you guys. And so and I wore that like as a badge of pride. Like I didn't take it as an insult. It was like hell
Yeah.
yeah, we're Blink XPX. So
We're changing the name. No
so
longer
yeah,
Sam's the hero.
and similarly like our early stuff definitely had more of a punk skate punk than
Yeah.
pop leaning and was like like I remember having to have a conversation with my band being like, hey, uh we shouldn't play every song as fast as we can play it. Like some songs sound better when you like fall into a groove because we
Yeah.
were just like the faster that we could play it, the cooler we are. And like I remember that having to be like an intentional conversation. So like I feel like
We can slow things down a little bit, guys.
we evolved and matured in some of the same ways that I feel like they did over those first few
Yeah.
albums, for sure.
That's awesome. I will say this. I do Poconacha is still a great record, but segueing that into discussing Find a Way Home,
Mm.
I, especially being 40, being a dad, and having lived life up to this point, I feel a deeper connection with this record, probably more than any other that they've put out.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the Ever Passing Moment will always be a very sentimental and loving choice for me because that was the first album I really kind of fell in love with that they put out. But when they started slowly putting out songs, when they started putting out I Stay Up All Night, when they put out Cautious Optimistic, which is top five favorite song of all time, especially at this point in my life. I
Uh-huh.
just I feel the connection more to them as a band and their music with Find a Way Home. And I would definitely consider that a top three album that they've put out.
Yeah.
It is so good.
It is really good. MXPX, I'm just gonna go out like I don't this is not a hot take. I think a lot of people feel this way,
Yeah.
but I want to go on the record. They are massively underrated in
Oh,
in the
100%.
scene. And I think it's because they're the most consistent band in the scene. I think they've had some albums that, were maybe not quite at the level of others, but each one like you can tell they did what they set out to do, even
Oh
like
yeah.
if the fandom didn't like it as much as other ones. When they like set out to like go back to their roots, like people would hear it, they'd be like, "Oh, this is, old MXPX." And just they're so prolific. Like we'll get into, when trying to narrow down top songs. The last episode we did together was Wonder Years, and
Yeah.
that's hard because the Wonder Years is amazing, but um like I have 450 something MXPX songs in my iTunes, right? Like,
Nice.
and so to narrow that down, and that
It's
includes like
hard.
several live albums and some compilations and a bunch of EPs and singles and Christmas albums. Like they're just so prolific. And yeah, like I definitely would say like they have never hit a peak of like say Wonder Years like that we had on last time,
Yeah.
right? Like they've never hit like a peak of like a greatest generation, but all their albums are solid. They're all consistent. They, and in some respects, I think that's maybe worked to their detriment because like what you're getting with an MXPX album.
That's
You're
true.
not gonna get like a Newfound Glory Coming Home where all of a sudden there's like a big genre switch up, or and maybe
Yeah.
even that's exaggerating, a little bit, but you know what you're getting. And so I think a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, I've heard MXPX, they don't need to keep tuning in, and
It's
so I
like
think
you've heard one album, you've heard them all, basically.
yeah, and I can definitely sympathize with that criticism, but I don't necessarily agree. Like I feel like
No.
they continue, and the way they have grown with their fan base, um definitely this new album, but even the self-titled one, that came out
Yeah.
a few years before that, was, I felt like, a love letter to the fans that had grown like and stayed with them and matured alongside them. Um, you know, and to where now like the songs, going from like a one ad of like, oh, I want a girl with short hair and it was punk rock and whatever, and
Yeah.
to like now they're like writing songs about their kids, and like a song like Moments Like This, where it's like these are the moments I don't want to, that I'm gonna miss one day, and so I want to appreciate them while they're here. Speaking of which, I'm
Exactly.
gonna say goodnight to my daughter because it's summer, and so they're
Yeah,
going
man,
to
do
bed
your
late.
thing.
So
Do your
you
thing.
can edit this out or you can keep it in. I don't care, but I'm gonna say a quick goodnight.
Yeah, man, go
Again,
ahead.
MXPX realizes like our fans are now 40s with kids, and the
Oh
songs that
yeah.
they're writing, like they're not still like some bands, I'm not going to name any names, but some bands like well into their late 30s 40s, they're still writing music for like high school kids.
Yeah.
And like they MXPX didn't do that. Like they're like,
No.
hey, let's, we're
They
gonna.
they've remained consistent.
Mhm.
They've matured with their audience, and they're still writing music for that audience that grew with them, which
Yeah,
honestly I appreciate a lot more. Because I mean, there are some bands that I just kind of fell off the wayside because it's just their music either didn't change or it just felt like it was just pandering to who's going to pay them. Whereas MXPX has always remained consistent, always remained like true to who they are. And like they don't have a greatest generation. They don't have um they don't have an Outcome the Wolves. They don't have
mm-hmm.
like that album that you could point to like if this is you need to listen to this.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I will say that they are consistently one of the best bands, especially for a band that has the longevity that they do. I mean,
Yeah,
over 30 years in the industry and still continuing to put out new music, still continuing to grow, and especially doing things by themselves at this
yeah,
point, like doing it how they want to do it. I
dude.
mean, that is,
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that because that was one of the things that like I loved to see when this album rolled out, because I think, and again, not to project too much of my own band into MXPX, but like similarly, I feel like MXPX is a band's band.
yeah,
Like they have the respect of the other bands that they do things with. People talk about them super well. People talk about the influence that they've had and everything. And to like to the point where like when they put out this new album, I hope I'm not getting albums mixed up. I'm pretty sure it was this last album, they like took over their friends bands YouTube channels to like do live streams,
yeah,
that like bands that are in terms of like fan base, in terms of record sales, in terms of streaming numbers, bands that have far surpassed them, right? But that have so much respect for them that they'd be like, oh yeah, we'll host your live stream on like Yellow Card's channel, right? Because why
yeah,
not? Because you guys are cool and you have earned our respect, and we're going to do that. And I think that also shows that they have a spirit of innovation. Like, yeah, you can criticize them because they have not had any major evolutions in like sonically in like the genre that they write,
yeah,
which I will say, if you can put out as many albums that they've had and not change your genre and still come out with songs that sound fresh, like that in itself is saying something, right?
yeah,
That they don't sound like
100%.
recycled. But like they also have continued to innovate in other ways. Like when the pandemic hit, they were one of the first ones to go to that live streaming concert model, and
That's true.
they didn't do it through like some other platform or like some, they did it in a way where like we have our own studio, we have our own space, we're going to do this ourselves, and they did so many. Like most bands maybe did like one or two, and they did over a dozen. They were just
Oh yeah,
constantly doing live streams, and I was buying all of them because I was sitting on my couch and couldn't go anywhere, and so I wanted to see one of my favorite bands. And I think that also demonstrated the depth of their catalog, that they could do a dozen
yeah,
different live streams and
and it
pull
all
from
sounded.
all these different
Oh yeah,
like songs, and them like have stay on the same level of quality. Like I'm actually getting on my like MXPX soapbox. Like I'm like feel like I'm white knighting for them now. Like
continue. It's
yeah.
wonderful. No, the three that I remember really from the pandemic was MXPX, Goldfinger,
Yeah.
and they were all in different places, so it was constantly bouncing between everyone. And then I remember the first one being Dropkick Murphys
Yeah.
because their St. Patrick's Day show got canceled,
Yep.
wiped out
Yep.
completely. But they put together the live stream for that. So that, and I think Thursday did like two or three concerts.
I've got a hard drive full of live streams because I was not just buying them, I was recording them and like keeping
Yeah,
them for posterity. And so I'll still throw them on sometimes. And
nice.
like that, they because Goldfinger did have one that they did in person, which Mike
Yeah,
Herrera, the bassist for Goldfinger now. So
yep,
and so like that's one of the ones that I'll throw. Like I love that one. That one's such a good
that
one.
was really good.
And yeah, so like I still have a hard drive full of them that I'll still throw them on if I'm working and I want to listen to something in the background. I'll still
Nice.
throw on those live streams. But yeah, so it shows their spirit of innovation of like, hey, we're gonna swing big at some of this stuff. And so like
Yeah,
I've never seen a band announce an album by doing multiple live streams and by hosting them on all their friends' YouTube channels, right? Like
yeah,
that's cool. Um, so yeah,
awesome. All right,
I
you're gonna
lost
have to
my
give me a
point.
minute.
Yeah, I
That's okay.
lost my
Don't worry
point
about
along
it.
the way, but
Who needs a point? All right, I got. We did the first, we did the last or the latest. Now we got to go with the best.
yeah, man.
Jeff, what do you think is their best album?
So this was it wasn't the hardest because I do think there's a short list, right?
Yeah,
They've got a lot of studio albums. Um uh 10, 11, 12. I might be but I think it comes down to a pretty short list of ones that are
yeah,
in contention for best. Um and yesterday I started second guessing myself and then today I was like no. I can come down pretty firmly and say Ever Passing Moment, I think, is their best album. Um, the I think the fan base at large might have a different take than that. I think, and I definitely don't want to step on your toes, so I'm not gonna get into other what other potential albums there are. But I think there are other ones that the fan base at large might say. And Everpassing Moment, it was their major label debut.
yeah.
And so they definitely leaned, kind of more on the poppy side. And of course, you get the contingent of fans. There's like, oh, they sold out because they're on the radio, right? They had Responsibility was a good radio single,
Just roll my
and
eyes at that.
and like if you are like not somebody who is following them, if you just found them from like Responsibility is the song, right? Like that's the
Yeah,
the like the biggest, the widest ranging of their songs. And so I could see all that. But so I was going through listening to a lot of these albums, and when you put that one on, the quality of songs
that's
on
true.
that album, like it just goes from like banger to banger to banger. Like My Life Story is such a great track. Like we just covered that at audio feed. Like that was
Oh,
the MX.
nice.
Yeah, that was our. We usually try to throw in one cover per set, and Life Story was the one that we chose. But like, so that song's amazing. Buildings Tumble is amazing. The Answer and the Question is like. There's just so many of like just the like really solid.
Unsaid is another one. I
Yeah, like
love that
I don't
song.
think there's a like people talk about no skip albums. Uh, I don't know that I would go as far as to say it's a no skip album, but I know it's one where I don't skip, right? I'm
Yeah,
not gonna say there's like tracks that I couldn't or wouldn't, but like I never do. Like it's just solid all the way through, and I think some of their best songs are on that album. Like and um it doesn't overstay its welcome. It had good production. And yeah, for me, that's their best. And I definitely think there's a short list of albums that I would entertain people, disagreeing.
yeah.
But for me, yeah, it's Ever Passing Moment all the way.
So I hate when people say sell out. I really do. Because I think Fat Mike said it best. Uh, it's not selling out. It's their music got popular.
Hmm.
Selling out is when you change your style
Yeah,
to mesh with what is popular in the time. MxPx was still MxPx. It just got
yeah,
to a point where people knew who they were,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
honestly great. It's like
yeah.
Green Day never sold out. Blink 182 never sold out. They
Hmm.
continued to be who they were and putting out the music that they always put out. It just happened to be popular at that time. Like Less
Hmm.
Than Jake didn't sell out. Mighty Mighty Boss Tones didn't sell out. They were still doing ska. I mean,
Yeah.
and that was in a time where everybody hated ska for one reason or another. That still makes no goddamn sense to me. Ska is some of the greatest music you could ever listen to, in my
We
opinion.
saw a
That's just
great
me.
ska band at Audio Feed, and
Did you really?
they threw mozzarella sticks into the crowd from stage. It was fantastic.
Yes.
They're called 20 something summer. Shout out 20 something summer. They
20
were a
something
lot of
summer. I'm
fun.
gonna have to find them.
Yeah, I think
I
they've
am
only
gonna
got like
find them and I'm gonna
they've only got
don't
one or
care.
two
I'll find
singles
them.
out, but they were a lot of fun to
Something
see
summer.
live.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to listen to that. All right. So Ever Passing Moment is a very sentimental choice to me because that was the first album that I really fell in love with.
Hmm.
But I did go through their entire catalog in preparation for this. And I think that is a near second for me. Find a Way Home is third for me
Okay.
because, like I said, I'm connecting with that album where I am in my life and where they are in writing this.
Yeah.
I will have to say, front to back, my favorite album that they've put out is Panic. I'm
Okay.
I'm actually really surprised I came to that conclusion because like the entire when we decided to do this episode,
Uh-huh.
I was like convinced it's Ever Passing Moment. It's going to be Ever Passing Moment. And then I started listening. And one of my favorite, if not my favorite song that they've ever put out, which I don't want to spoil it for our top three, is on that album. And it hit different live. And when I started listening to this, and that's the thing, especially the start of this album, I mean, you get, oh my, sorry, I'm like pulling it up for a second. The Darkest Places, and then
Yeah.
going into Young and Depressed, and Wrecking Hotel Rooms, like smack dab in the middle of the album, which is such a different pace for what the beginning of that album was to go to very kind of like slow and be like very into it.
Yeah.
I it just I don't know, dude. I was very surprised when I started listening to this album. I finished and I had to listen to it again.
Hey,
So
I love
Panic is their best as far as I'm concerned.
Dude, I love that choice, and I think it's a dark horse. Like I don't think that is, again, I don't if the fan base at large, I don't think that would be like in their top three either. But
Probably
I
not.
love that choice. The songs are so good. Like, I had a playlist of songs that I was trying to whittle down my top three.
Yeah.
And Gray Skies Turn Blue was on that. Like
Yep.
there's and
Emotional
yeah.
Anarchist
Yeah,
is
yeah.
another
I mean,
one.
there's some really good songs on that album. Late Again is so fun. Like that was my theme song forever. Like because I'm always like I mean I was late logging on to this Zoom call, right? Like
Yeah, you're fine.
I'm late all the time, and yeah yeah. So I love that choice because I think it is a little bit of a dark horse
Yeah,
choice, but I think it's a great album. I love it.
it is. It really is. So with that being said, let's go to our top threes. And we'll start with number three. Jeff, I know this had to be hard for you,
It was
being
so
a member of
hard.
Blink XPX. What is number three for you?
It was so hard, and I'm gonna cheat because I've got to give a couple honorable mentions.
That's fine.
But the honorable mentions are not like, let me just extend my three to five. There's very specific reasons. So, one honorable mention is Secret Weapon. And I
Very
think
good
that
song.
that song is amazing. And the reason I listed as an honorable mention, one of the cool things about being a dad, and I know I did your fatherhood podcast previously, is getting to share some of your loves with your kids.
Oh yeah.
And my kids, and I'm not gonna pretend it's not some conditioning because of just the things that I love, but they
Yeah.
really like MxPx. And
Nice.
when we kind of, I don't want to go as far as to say as like we picked theme songs, but like we put, when my wife was pregnant with both of our kids, we would build playlists for each
Yeah.
of the kids, and it was a labor playlist, but like we would pick songs that like either meant something to us at the time or like something we wanted to like, you know I don't want to go as far as to manifest, but like things we wanted to speak into our experience as parents with that with those kids. And
Yeah.
so my son Reese, Secret Weapon was on
Nice.
that playlist, and so that's become like somewhat of a theme song for him, and he loves it. He loves to sing it, and it's one of like when he was a baby, it was one of the songs that I would sing to him. So again, I understand there's a lot of
Yeah.
conditioning built into it. So that's one honorable mention is Secret Weapon, and the other honorable mention I need to make is their latest single 100. I know you
Okay.
saw it. I
I
know you
did.
saw it, and some other people might have seen it. The day it came out, I went and did an old man, angry, cynical post about that song.
I remember.
And and if I can unpack it really briefly, the reason was because I loved the song musically so much. I love from the opening riff and like everything about it. I was like, I love this style. Like this is one of the, especially as I get older, like this is one of the styles of like punk that I love.
Yeah.
And then what I felt like just threw it away on such frivolous content, like such silly lyrical content. I was like, this could have been an all-time great MXPX song, and it was thrown away on silly lyrical content. Well, that was before I listened to it with my kids. And my kids absolutely love singing that chorus of just 1101100110110110, and to the point where like now I love putting it on because like I'll put it on
Yeah.
just so we can all sing it together. And so what I originally like did a old man yells at cloud like angry cynical rant about this song. I actually really like the song now, and it's fun, it's so catchy, and I love singing it with my kids. So those are my two honorable mentions.
Okay.
I feel like I had to throw that out there because I talked shit about it on social media,
No, I can understand that.
and I'm eating a little bit of crow because I do love singing that song with my kids now.
Nice.
But my actual number three, and I do think these are ranked for me. Sometimes I say, they could shuffle around
Yeah.
because I spent so much time trying to whittle down 400 some odd songs to my top three favorite songs. Um, I think number three for me is going to be, um, um, oh my gosh, I just had the biggest brain fart. Hold on one second. I can go, hold on. Oh my gosh. This is why I can't drink when I record podcasts with you, Rob.
That's okay.
Hold on, where did it go? It's off of before everything and after. It's the yeah, play it loud. Oh my gosh. Yeah, play it loud is I
Nice.
think is my number three. And that was, I mentioned mandatory MXPX, and that was
Yeah.
one of the ones that we would cover the most is Play It Loud. That song is so much fun to play, from the drums to the melody, the content. Like I love, where they, are singing like the songs we play, we love this sound. We're just like you, straight from the crowd. Like,
Yeah.
I think uh um MXPX, again, going back to my honorable mention, they can have a problem with not taking themselves very seriously. Maybe that's not a problem. Maybe, but I'm just saying, like, sometimes for me, there are songs that I think could be really, really good, and they just weren't, taking themselves very seriously.
Yeah.
Um, that one is a really good one where I feel like the song itself and the content and the tone of the lyrics all just mesh perfectly into this song. And again, it may be a little bit biased because I've covered that song a lot, and it's
Yeah.
so much fun to play. But yeah, Play It Loud is it's a great anthem for them. And it's off of what I think is another great album. Before Everything and After is another album that I think is uh takes a lot of grief from the fan base, but I think is really, really good. And so yeah, Play It Loud. That's going to be my number
Nice.
three pretty solidly.
All right. I already mentioned this song, my number three, when we were talking about the ever passing moment, and that's Unsaid.
Yeah.
It's one of those songs that have always stuck with me. I mean, there's a lot of really great songs on that album. Obviously, Responsibility.
Hmm.
Uh, we've talked about a load of them, but there's just something about it. Some things are better left unsaid. Some things are better left undone.
Yeah.
Stuff like just that chorus alone. makes that such a memorable and wonderful song for me.
Yeah.
And it's just stuck with me all these years. I mean, it's
And
been
I
20 plus years since that album's come out, and it's stuck with me this long. So,
Yeah, and I think that's a great example of something we were talking about earlier in the episode of like that song is not like hey, how fast can we play this riff? Like how fast
yeah,
can we get through it? Like that song is it's not I wouldn't say it's a ballad, but it's a little bit slower
yeah,
and there's some space in the song to really let the melody and the vocals come to the forefront and really carry that song.
yeah.
And yeah, I agree with you, man. I think it's a super awesome song.
I I I think it's in the bridge where the drums just kind of like bum 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 bum. Like it does not just like for the floor, like just freaking go. Like it
Hmm.
actually lets them be musicians at a time.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
love that about that song. So
Yeah, that's a great choice, man.
yeah. Number two.
Number two is it's definitely an older MXPX song. And it's off of an album that um it's a compilation album, so it wouldn't even have been in contention, I think, for best album and wouldn't be anyways because it's so wide. But I love the song Let It Happen.
Yes.
Um, it's early in their career, but I think it's when they were starting to learn what we just talked about that you can kind of let a song breathe a little bit. Um, it's a really good it does, it's not just like, hey, let's fill this sound, this song with wall to wall power chords the whole time.
Yeah.
Like and it really leans into them as a three piece, like the interplay between like the bass does a lot on that song and
Yeah.
really fills out a lot of the space sonically. There's a lot on that song. I might get crucified by some people for saying this. There's a lot about that song that reminds me of like I think it could be a Descendants song. Like I think if you change the vocalist it could be a Descendant
Okay.
song easily. Like I think
I could see that.
it's that kind of vibe, it's that kind of tone. Um yeah,
I
I
love
really
Descendants.
like I that was one that I was really surprised made my list. It would not if I just like pulled three off the top of my head, it would not have. But it was because I was going through and listening to them and like was just shuffling like all of the songs and that one came up and I'm like, man, this is a really well written song. Like
Yeah.
even lyrically, it's which I think is probably if I had to, you know, grade, MXPX, lyrics would be on the lower end of what I love about them. But even that one is like it's really solid lyrically. And so yeah, I think Let It Happen for my number two.
Nice. Number two, you went old. Number two, I went new. Uh, there's a couple reasons why this song made it onto the list for me. One is just it's such a great song. It's very upbeat at times, and I love like just the whole, j- just the idea of it. It's just let me just it stay up all night. First
Mm,
off, seeing that live when we drove to Philly Super Bowl weekend to go freaking see MXPX and the Ataris. And then Dan from the Wonder Years comes out to do the final bridge and chorus. Dude, it was so awesome. It was magical,
yeah,
dude. I
yeah,
love that. But there's just something about it. Like, I'm trying to remember the lyrics for the chorus. But it all just comes down to like, I'll stay up with you all night. I
yeah,
will always be there. I love that. And especially at this point in my life where I am, especially with my wife being like with a kidney stone and hurting and this, that, and the other. It's very, very powerful for me. So maybe this wouldn't make it if I was thinking in a different mindset. But for right now, at least at this point in my life, stay up all night. Dude, this is number two. Easy.
yeah. There's a good vulnerability to that song too. Like
Yeah.
if I hurt you, then I'll try to make it
Make it
right.
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 Yeah.
Like, I'll stay up with you all night. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a very, very good song.
All right. Here it is. Number one. What is
Number
it?
one, yeah. So number one was actually really easy. I knew
Yeah.
number one the second that
Number
we
one
talked
seems
about
to be
doing this
very,
list.
very easy.
Yeah, yeah,
It's very
yeah,
rare that
true, true, true,
it's
true.
like there's always that one song that just sticks with you.
And
So
this is another one that we've covered a lot. And so again, I don't think that's biasing me. Like I think it's more the other way around. It's a good song, so we chose it to be one of the ones that we cover.
yeah.
and it's not one of their super popular ones. I think like Punk Rock Show, I think could have been another honorable mention just because of like
Yeah.
what it meant to the fan base. Like as a song, it's fun. It's no, it's whatever. But no, this one, I think it's a deep cut. But it's You're Not Alone. Um,
Nice.
and that song, like again, the opening riff is like it's fun. Like it's fun, it's
Yeah.
fast, it's upbeat, but then immediately gets these like really tender lyrics. And then also I think it just shows some of Mike's strengths as a songwriter. I credit Mike. I actually, don't know. I didn't go look to see, do
Yeah.
research to see who contributed what to that song in particular. But I think Matt or Mike can do some good stuff in songwriting. And so that one has a good mix of like throwing in some little things like some odd chords and like chromatic descending scales and stuff just to
Yeah.
keep the song interesting. And change it up so it's not just the ABAC, there's a key
Yeah.
change in there. Like it's just I think it shows MxPx songs, I think, are well served by their simplicity, but this is one that does throw a little bit of complexity in there and is improved by it. So,
Yes.
yeah, uh, there was never a question for me. That's my number one. Is You're Not Alone.
So I think easily if you had asked me like 5, 10 years ago, my list would have been completely different.
Yeah,
Obviously, probably Punk Rock Show would have been on there. Chick Magnet would have been on there.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Responsibility, like the big songs, probably would have been
yeah.
on
Those
here.
staples. Yeah.
Yes, the staples of every single MXPX show. But the more I actually listened and more I actually thought about it, obviously Unsaid had to be on there. Stay Up All Night had to be on there. And this song, hearing it live, and it's the one song I always have to go back to. And I love it for the simple reason that it is just a reminder of a lot of what my life, especially my life in music, of being locked out, of being not being able to go to the show, not being having to sit and then hear it outside the venue.
Hmm.
And that's heard that sound.
Yeah.
I heard that sound a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember he was talking about it when I saw him and saying like this song basically came about when the fact that they tried going to see the Vandals and they couldn't get tickets and they were just like outside the venue, just like ear pressed against the doors just because they wanted to hear it. And that's a lot of where this song came from.
Yeah.
And there's just something about that that speaks to the young Rob that like went to as many shows as possible, tried sneaking into shows, just there's something about this song that just speaks to like me, the younger years of me, and even to me now. So, and sometimes you miss these things, but sometimes it's okay that you miss these things.
Yeah.
But there's something about heard that sound that if I'm gonna listen to MXPX, if I have to pick one song to listen to, it's this one every single time.
That's great, man. I love that we landed it like in different places, and I do feel like a lot of those staples weren't on
Yeah.
there, which I think is great. Have you heard the ska version? Do you have their horns EP?
I don't think
So
I do.
okay, I'll have to send it to you
All right.
because they did when Five Iron was crowdsourcing their one of their recent albums. One of the pre-order incentives, like Kickstarter has like its stretch goals and stuff, and one of
Yeah.
them was an MXPX EP but recorded but with horns from the Five Iron guys added. So it's a 5 song
That's
EP
awesome.
of MXPX songs with horns, and heard that sound was kind of like the top song. And they even had on, I forget which live album it is, but they have Five Iron come out and play horns
Oh
on
my
the live
God.
version of that song because they were playing a show with Five Iron. So I'll have to send that to you, man. And
Absolutely. I definitely need to hear that.
yeah, it's got 6 songs. So it's got the
Yeah.
final slow dance, I'm okay, you're
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, nice.
Today is in my way. Oh, dude, what am I talking about? Hold on. It has the final slow dance. I'm okay, you're okay. Today is in my way. Move to Bremerton. Tomorrow's another day and doing time. That song's not even on there, which means that they only did it for that live. that
That's
live
awesome.
version.
Oh, good night.
So yeah, there's a 6 song
I'm gonna have to.
EP that they had Five Irons horn section record horns for their existing songs. Um, but now I got to figure out
I'm
which
gonna have to. There's got to be a video of that somewhere online.
yeah, because
Um,
you can hear like as soon as ba 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 yeah, it's off the left coast live album is the Heard That Sound that's featuring Five Iron. So yeah, it's off their left coast live album. So go listen to that. But then I'm also gonna send you their Horns EP, which is just I thought Heard That Sound was on that EP and that's why they did it that way live. But no, they just get a bonus, just a bonus Five Iron horn section song.
oh man. All right, I'm gonna have to find. Mm. All right, let's wrap up this episode so I can go ahead and
Yeah.
go find that.
If you
All
have
right.
trouble finding either of those, let me know. I will
I
gladly
will
send them to
definitely
you.
let you know. So that's it for this episode. That's it for MXPX. Jeff, once again, thank you for coming on. This is not the last time you will see Jeff on the show. Obviously, we talked about earlier our Summer of Ska coming up. Jeff will be back to talk about Five Iron Frenzy, which I'm super stoked about. Yeah, I
For
love you,
the
Jeff.
viewers.
I love you, Jeff. All right, so our next episode is probably going to be in a week or two. Like I said earlier, my wife is having surgery, so I'll be taking care of her, making sure she's okay. So I'm going to take a little bit of time off stuff will still make its way online, but probably not another new episode till either the end of the month or beginning of August when we'll start our Summer of Ska. Um, so we'll either be doing Dashboard Confessional next or the Aquabats. So I know it's slightly different tones, but we'll figure it out. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Say bye, Jeff.
Bye, guys.